Rotary District 7770. This is Conversations with Rotary Action People for Friday, June 12th. My name is Donald Hovis from the CWRAP Rotary Club here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Our special guest and our featured speaker today, fellow Rotarian from the Spring Valley Rotary Club, Sheriff Leon Lott with the Richland County Sheriff's Department. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning. Good to be with y'all.
We are honored to have you here, sir. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to share and answer some of our questions we have for you. We will begin with you in just a moment, but to begin today, we're going to do the vision statement of Rotary. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Now, for a few key dignitaries on the line today. Let's see. Past District Governor from the Rotary Club of Hilton Head Island, Mr. Bernie Rydell. Good morning, Bernie. Past District Governor from the Rotary Club of Hilton Head Island, Mr. David Terrard and his wife, Susan. Good morning, guys. Thanks for being here. Let's see. Scrolling along here. Okay, our District Governor-elect, newly installed as of this week from the Rotary Club of Myrtle Beach, Miss Pauline Levesque. Good morning, Pauline. The Public Image Chair for our wonderful Rotary District. This lady works hard every day for our district. From the 5 Points Rotary Club, Miss Mary Gass. Good morning, Mary. And our District Communications Chair, the man running the stream here for us today, Mr. Terry Moore with the Somerville Evening Rotary Club. Good morning, Terry. Now, Sheriff, I first want you to start by telling our viewers here, because we're streaming this here on Zoom and on our Facebook page. I want you to talk first about your career in law enforcement.
Well, I started in 1975 with Richland County Sheriff's Department. Worked my way up from about a lowly deputy as far as you can go down, all the way up to a captain. Left and became the chief of police in St. Matthews in 1993, where I first joined Rotary with the St. Matthews Club. Elected sheriff of Richland County in 1996. 97, joined the Spring Valley Rotary Club, transferred from St. Matthews to Spring Valley, and been an active Rotarian since then. Just past Tuesday was reelected to my 7th term, so got 24 years into sheriff and at least another 4 years.
Well, first of all, thank you for your service. We do really appreciate that. And now more than ever, I think we should say thank you for your service.
Thank you.
So, I think you're talking today about community policing, but I first want to get you to talk a little bit about live PD. How did the Richland County Sheriff's Department get involved with live PD?
Well, we have a history with the, I guess, the entertainment market, in that we're a very professional organization. Our people are very professional. We've done other law enforcement shows that have been on TV before, and actually been involved in different endeavors with the media market. So when Live PD was being created, they contacted us and asked us some suggestions on the show, and then invite us to be on the show. And we're the only agency that's been on the entire time. It's been great for us. It's been an avenue for us to reach so many people that we might not have reached before. It's allowed us to, through the TV, to go out and meet the people of Richland County, but also now people of the world. The show was so popular, it was worldwide. So people know Richland County Sheriff's Department. They've been able to see the transparency, the professionalism our deputies have, and just find out what law enforcement is really about. Not a movie, not an article you read in the paper, but exactly what we see and have to deal with every day. The funny stuff, the humorous stuff, the dangerous stuff, they got to see everything. There'd be some nights that you wouldn't see Richland County on, that because nothing was going on. If it was raining, nothing was going on. Rain's probably one of the best crime prevention tools there is, that keeps crime down when it rains. But it brought us into the households of so many people, that, and the community got to meet these deputies, got to see them beyond the uniform, and learn that the type of people they were and how much they cared about this community. One of the last shows that was on was where 2 of our deputies rescued a dog. A dog had fell into a culvert and basically was dying, and some young boy and neighbors heard it and called us, and we responded. And quite some time we worked with the community and was able to rescue the dog and bring the dog home. And people got to see that. That was not locking anybody up. That was not anything that was, confrontational. It was just saving something, saving that dog and bring that dog home. And people saw the human side of us, how much these 2 deputies cared about rescuing that dog. And I think that's what that show did, was showed who we really are.
For those that may not know about Live PD, like, when did that start? How many years has it been on the air?
It's been on air for 3 years. They've had 298 episodes. It started off on a Friday night for a couple hours, and it was so popular, it expanded to Friday and Saturday nights for 3 hours, where they followed different law enforcement agencies across the United States and followed officers. And somebody asked earlier, was it live? Yes, it was live. It was live. It was not scripted. It was not edited. It was live. So you got to see exactly what the deputies saw. You saw the actions they took. You saw just what we did every single day that we're out here working.
And then before we move forward, did I just hear that the show has been canceled by A&E?
The show's been, it's not airing it right now. I won't say the word cancel. Cancel sounds like something that's definite, and it's definitely not over completely. But right now, A&E and Big Fish Entertainment, who produces it, decided it's probably best not to have it on. One, for the safety of their people that they got working with us, but also just with the troubling times we've got right now, they didn't feel like it'd be appropriate to be showing that. So I feel confident that eventually you'll see Live PD back on again, because not only the popularity of it, and it is very popular, but it just showed what we really do. It really showed professionalism and transparency at its best.
Well, thank you for that. We do see over in the chat box here, several people have already started to tell us where they're watching from and their Rotary Club. If you have not done that, please post that in the chat box so we know who's here and your Rotary Club. And then we're also streaming this over on our Rotary District Facebook page. If you'll post a comment below the stream as well, where you're watching from and your Rotary Club. And I'll also tell you, the chat box can be used for questions for Sheriff Leon Lott. So if you have a question you want asked to Sheriff, please post that here in the chat box as well, and I'll be monitoring those and getting those questions over to Sheriff. Also, over on Facebook, if you have a question, do post a comment there. We are monitoring that feed as well. Thanks, everybody, for being here. My next question, really is kind of in today's times. What can we do as citizens? We're all citizens here, to keep police and law enforcement personnel in the positive spotlight and not out in the negative news?
Well, it starts with building relationships, and I would hope that all law enforcement agencies have long time ago started building relationships with their community. I think that's so important when people need to know who we are and that we're there to help. There's talk about defunding law enforcement agencies now, and that scares me when you think about, if there's not any police anymore, what's going to happen? And I guess I give the example at 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody's breaking in your home to rape your daughter or rape your wife. Who are you going to call? Are you going to call a plumber? Are you going to call law enforcement? And so we're needed. And unfortunately, there's bad guys out there. So, but our community, I think the majority of our community supports and believes in what law enforcement does. Unfortunately, we do have some bad cops. There's no doubt there's bad cops, just like there's been bad Rotarians in the past. But our job is to make sure that we get rid of those that are bad cops. And the way to do that is have a relationship with the community where the community trusts you enough where they help you police to police. So when they see something that a cop's not doing right, that they don't hesitate in reporting it, so we can take action. But to answer your question, what the community can do is just understand that the job that we're doing, It is a difficult job sometimes, but it's an enjoyable job because the people we get to meet and the people we get to help. And that's what law enforcement is. It's a helping profession. We're out here helping people. And, you know, unfortunately, sometimes we do have to lock people up because that's the only way to stop them from committing crime. But by and large, most of our time is spent doing good things, meeting good people, working with good people. And that's what we do the majority of our time.
And I will say, over on the Facebook feed, we do have past District Governor Gary Bradham from the Rotary Club of Myrtle Beach watching. So thank you, Gary, for being here. Next question, community policing, which is kind of the topic of your talk here with us today, is more important today than ever before. What is the Richland County Sheriff's Department currently doing to get involved in the community or being that community resource?
And I think one word that you just said is very important. That's currently. If you're only currently stopping community policing, then shame on you as a law enforcement agency. You don't build a relationship when there's a critical incident. You have to have built that foundation many, many years ago. So we started 24 years ago building relationships with our communities. And in Richland County, just like most of the people that are represented here, have a very diverse community. And it's not the role of the community to come to law enforcement. It's law enforcement's role to go to each one of the communities that make up your county and build a relationship with them. First, you got to reflect the community that you serve. So your agency has to look like the people that we serve. And then you go out and you build a relationship with them. And you keep building that foundation. So when then something does happen, there's a critical incident, you just don't meet people at that time. You already know them. They know you. They trust you. You work together. And so you don't have problems that you might have if you didn't have that relationship. When I see issues in other cities and locations, and I just shake my head and say, well, why didn't you build a relationship? Why are you waiting now? So we started 24 years ago, and we reinforce that every single day with all the communities that make up Richland County.
We do have a question coming in here from a viewer that says, and it's a comment and a question. I appreciate all that officers are doing in our communities. There is now a very active discussion about police forces and how they interact with their constituents. You mentioned defunding. For sure, this should not be understood as disbanding police, but you're called upon a lot of issues your staff is not trained for. So defunding in the sense of reassigning funds, like when there is a fire, the fire department comes, but you have to come for mental issues, etc. Why not take responsibility to respond and funds from police add set up more special response teams? That's a very long question. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think we need to look at the money that's available and use it. We have mental health experts that work for us. The Department of Mental Health, our people are trained. So we're the first responders. We're the ones going to get that first call. So our officers have to be trained, and then we use those experts in fields to come out with us and help us. Unfortunately, what I see with defunding is where they want to disband law enforcement. You know, allocating money to where it's needed the most, there's nothing wrong with that. Hopefully that's what each one of our governments already do, is that they look and see where the money, taxpayers' money, should be spent the best place. And if it's law enforcement, mental health, social services, whatever it is, I would hope they're already doing that. But taking money from law enforcement agencies in an effort to not have them out working, not have them available, not have them out protecting the public, I think is a huge mistake.
And we do have a comment here from a viewer, and I'm not sure who this person is or what department they work for, but I did want to at least mention it. For a great example of community policing, look no further than Lieutenant Danny Brown and his team. I'm not sure what department Lieutenant Danny Brown is with, but wanted to share that.
Richland County Sheriff's Department. And Danny Brown is a lieutenant in our community action team. Locally, we call them CAT deputies, but it stands for Community Action Team. And this is a group of deputies, and each one of them are assigned a series of neighborhoods. And their job is to go into those neighborhoods and help each one of them develop a crime watch group or neighborhood association that belongs to that community. And then they're the liaison. You have your own cop. You have someone that comes to every one of your community meetings, all the functions that you have. They're out in the community building these relationships I keep talking about. So that's what the CAT team is all about. Lieutenant Danny Brown is a lieutenant in that, but he was also one of the officers that was on live PD quite often, and people got to see him and know who he was and respect the work that he did in the community.
Excellent. Thank you for that. How much interaction do you have with schools to show them that you are not the bad guys?
Every day. I have 97 school resource officers in Richland County. Every school in Richland County, elementary, middle, high school, and an alternative school, have school resource officers assigned to them. So they're in the schools every day. And again, we've been doing this for 24 years. So we build relationships at the schools with these kids. One of the best programs we have is called High Five Friday. Every Friday, we're out of elementary school. We have a group of deputies there. As the kids get off the bus or out of the car rider line, there's music playing. The deputies are dancing with the kids and giving them high fives. And that is building relationships at an early age with our young people. So we work very hard to let our young people know that we are the good guys, that we're here for them. We want to do all we can for them. So we do it through our school resource officer program and also our youth services division, where they do programs to help parents, young people who may be straying a little bit and going down the wrong path. We have programs that help get those kids on the right path, but it includes their parents or their guardians are part of it. We just don't do it with the young people. We do it as a family unit. So we have a large youth service division that's constantly reaching out to young people. So we've got to create a generation that doesn't believe in guns and violence. And the way to do that is build relationships. And we basically started in kindergarten with kids when they first go to kindergarten and right on through until they graduate from high school.
So I noticed with this is the next question here from a viewer. I noticed with officers not living in their communities anymore, but commuting from outside, the understanding and interaction has changed. Is that your impression? Correct?
Not so much. I have almost 900 people, so they live various places. It's not so much where they live as if they care. If they care about the community that they serve and the area they're assigned to, do they care about that? And I believe that we do have officers that care. So regardless where they live, when they come to work and they have their area that they go, they care about those people. They love those people that they serve. So it is nice if they're able to live in the area and be assigned to that area, but that's not practical all the time. Especially with an agency as large as we are and located in the Columbia area, we have people. You go 2 miles from this office and you're in another county. So having everybody live here is impossible. But it's the care. It's the caring that counts more than where they live.
So we do have a next question from a Rotarian over in Chesterfield County, and she says our regular population in the sheriff's department is facing a huge increase in the COVID-19 numbers. How is your department helping with the COVID-19 pandemic efforts?
Well, my job has been twofold on that. One's protect the deputies so they can go do their job and then help protect the community. Of the 900 employees we've had here, we've only had one that caught the virus. And he's fully recovered. So internally, we made sure we protected our officers with masks and shields, sanitizers, make sure all of our office space is. But when we had people that were supposed to be in, we encouraged people to stay in. We encouraged businesses that weren't supposed to be open to close. And by and large, we got great cooperation. We didn't have to make arrests for anybody violating curfew or violating the executive orders by the governor. People really worked with us on that. So we worked with the community and, the social distancing and the wearing of masks, we prompt that. We were probably donated 50,000 masks that we were able to give out to the community. We're continuing to do that. We're giving out some tomorrow. So we're helping the community by giving them the tools like masks they need to protect themselves.
And so I think you've said it a couple times, you have about 900 officers working in your department?
We have about 750 officers and then another about 150 support personnel, probably about 900 total that we have that are connected here with the Sheriff's Department.
That's a pretty big department in terms of probably in the state. Is that one of the largest in the state?
I think it is the largest in the state.
Excellent. How has your interaction with the students in the schools for the past 24 years changed, and are you encouraging them to join the police department?
Social media's changed. I think that's been a big changer in schools, but all of our lives. 24 years ago, we didn't have social media. Kids didn't live by their phone with Snapchat and Instagram and what they do now. That's gave a different dimension to bullying and some other aspects. So, the internet and the phones are great when they're used the correct way, but we've had to adapt with that. I think we've been very successful with our young people and the relationships that we've got, because the kids police the schools. The kids, majority of kids that go to school don't want guns, they don't want violence, they want drugs and gangs in their schools. So by building that relationship with the school resource officers, they tell us when something bad's going on in the school. When you read that a gun's been recovered at school or someone's been caught making threats at school, that's because another child is told them. Another young person is told, and they feel comfortable enough to come tell that school resource officer. So we've had to adapt as the world has changed, and we've had to adapt with it also in law enforcement.
And the next question, I believe this person lives down in the Charleston area. And the question is, in my city, area officers cannot afford to live as housing is too expensive. Should local cities start offering affordable housing for first responders?
That'd be great. That's something that we've looked at. That's something we get assistance through different organizations here in Richland County to help officers, particularly first buyers of homes. Some of our apartment complexes give reduced rates to deputies that live there and have a patrol car. So the community really helps us to help these young officers when they first start out. They're not going to make a whole lot of money, so they need some assistance. So that's something. But again, go back to the very beginning when we talked about tax money. You got to look at where you can put that money to the best use. So, is there enough taxpaying money to be able to afford to do something like that and allow officers to live at a reduced rate? If that's possible, yes. If the money's not there, that doesn't mean that we're still not going to care about our community and do all the work that we should be doing, keep our community safe.
And for those that may not have been on here right at the beginning, we want to say congratulations to Sheriff. He won re-election earlier this week. So how long is your term there, Sheriff?
4 years. This is my seventh. I'll be starting my seventh term in January. So the election's every 4 years. So this is my seventh time of being elected.
Well, congratulations again. So in terms of training for your department and your officers, how extensive is the training for dealing with social issues, protesters, and et cetera?
I'm fortunate by having a large agency. We have our own training division. So we immediately start someone when they get hired, training them. So they go through some intense training with us before they go to the Criminal Justice Academy. Once they return from the Criminal Justice Academy, they go through 3 more months of training. And then we train every year. Every deputy goes through retraining every year. And we teach de-escalation techniques. We teach them cultural diversity. We have different individuals, organizations that come in and speak to our deputies so they can see the differences in people. Again, our community is very diversified, so we want our deputies to be able to understand the different cultural issues that we have and diversity we have in our community. So we do a lot of training. We're constantly training that. Protesting, peaceful protesting, there's not much you can do with people protesting peacefully, is that you make sure the traffic's there and you're there to help them out. It's the rioters, it's the ones that's not interested in protesting peacefully that want to go out and commit crimes. That we have to deal with those, and we train on that also. We do field force training. We teach our deputies how to, verbal assaults. It goes back to a long time ago what my mother taught me. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. So we can get cussed out all day long. That's fine. But when the violence happens and destruction happens, then we have to take action.
We do have a comment here from a visitor. Isaiah 6:8 says, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, 'Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?' And I said, Here I am.
Me and now, yeah, and that's kind of what we look at. You know, one thing that we do at Richland County is all of our cars have peace officer on the back. All of our uniforms are going to have peace officer on the back. They have deputy sheriff, but it's also peace officer. You go to the Bible, and I think we're talked about in the Bible, blessed are the peacemakers, so they be called the children of God. And our job is to keep the peace. And you know, by having that on our cars, having it on that uniform, you know, we want to send a message to the community that we're just not law enforcement. We're, you know, the connotation is all we do is enforce the law. Our job is to keep the peace. So we want to keep the peace, but you know, it is a calling to be a police officer. It's a calling, and I think, you know, that Bible verse and some other Bible verses definitely describe what peace officers and police officers do.
Can you talk real quick about the mental state of your officers? Are they as committed to do or feel as they are getting the support from the public as
We do.
what we're going through?
We do. There's tremendous support from our community. You know, I get emails, phone calls, our deputies, have people bring food. You know, we have tremendous support for our community. And I think this past election reinforced that to our deputies. This is, you know, troubling times going on, and there was an election. And to receive 71% of the vote, I think is the citizens report card on us and the job that we've been doing, and that they want us to continue doing that. And if we hadn't been doing that, you know, I wouldn't have been reelected. And so I think the citizens, you know, realize what we're doing, and we're doing it in a good way. We're working with them, and our deputies see that. Our deputies see and hear it every single day. You know, there's bad things that are said about law enforcement in general, but by and large, majority of the community supports us. Their voice might not be as loud, and they might not say it as much as some of the others do, but the support's there, and our deputies feel that. They feel the love. They feel it every single day.
Next question is about your training division. You mentioned it a second ago, but now there's a question about that. So do you use trainers who are in residency with your training department, or you do bring outsiders, subcontractors in for training?
Both. We have our own training people. All of our deputies assigned to our training division are trained by the Criminal Justice Academy. They go through the intense training to be able to be a trainer. But on particular subjects, if we need an outside expert, we bring those in too. Just like our school resource officers, we bring in the National Association of School Resource Officers, and they come in and do the training for our school resource officers. So it's a combination of both.
The next question, just got a few more here coming in. What kind of change do you see in the future of policing?
Transparency. And I think live PD was a precursor of what we're going to see in the future. The next 5 to 10 years from now, everything that a law enforcement officer does is going to be live streamed. All of our deputies now have a body camera that they wear. They have cameras in their cars. So everything is recorded what we do. Live PD was just the future of law enforcement. And that, you know, transparency and being able to see what law enforcement officers do. So that's what you're going to see. I think that's the change, and I think that's a good thing. I think all good cops don't mind being recorded every day because we're doing good things. So I think the transparency on what law enforcement does every single day is what you're going to see in the future.
Do you have any National Academy grads?
FBI National Academy, we have quite a few. I graduated 152nd class in 1988. So we try to send one about every year or every other year. We try to send somebody to the FBI Academy to be a National Academy. We also send them to the Southern Police Institute in Louisville for training there. So we develop leaders. That's my job, is to develop leaders that will either go on to other places or stay here at the Sheriff's Department. But that's my job. All of us that are in positions like myself, you know, somebody helped us climb that ladder of success. So now it's my turn to reach down and pull others up that ladder. So we're constantly doing that. We're constantly training our people to be leaders. That's what I want them to be.
This is the last question I see, unless anyone else has one they want to post in the chat box. I hear and read a lot of issues about between police and leadership, and if unions are bad apples. On the force need to be disciplined. How is your experience when bad cops need to be dealt with?
Well, we don't have a union. So there's no unions in South Carolina when it comes to public safety and law enforcement. And so, yeah, and I think that's a good thing. I'm all for people getting good wages and having good working conditions. But when it comes to law enforcement, that's the job that we have to do. We can't go out on strike and we can't call in sick because we don't want to work. What we do is, if you got a bad cop, that bad cop needs to be arrested, not just terminated, it needs to be arrested. And that's what we do at Richland County. But one thing that we've helped us so much is that over 20 years ago, I created a Citizens Advisory Council. I can't go out and talk to all 450,000 residents of Richland County, but I can have their representatives be part of what we do. So we have a Citizens Advisory Council that is part of coming in and looking at our policies. They look at critical incidents. They look at everything that we've got. And they also sit on our hiring board. 2 members of the Citizens Advisory Council sit on our 7-person hiring board. So as deputies come in and apply, people come in and apply before they become a deputy, they have to go in front of that interview board. 2 of our citizens have an equal vote on yes or no if someone gets hired. So the citizens do have a voice in what we do. And then we're able to use them to go to their different communities and say, okay, this is what the sheriff's departments do. But when it comes to the discipline, they look at our discipline and what we do. But I'm a firm believer that if once somebody crosses the line, they're not a cop anymore. They're a criminal and they need to be arrested and prosecuted for fullest extent of the law and never be in law enforcement again.
I agree. I agree. Thank you very much. And there was a comment posted, and I think everyone that's watching today will echo this comment, is we support you and all that you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
For what you do.
Well, thank you. And appreciate being a Rotarian. I think it's very important to be part of an organization that reaches out to our community. So I'm proud and honored to be a Rotarian.
And right before you go, we have one final question here.
Okay.
And it says, my support for our men and women in blue is 100%. And I'm thankful for all you do and do not believe you are paid enough. How stringent is the psychological screening and could it be improved?
You can always improve on something. You never, you should be satisfied and always look to ways of improvement. Before anyone can be in law enforcement in South Carolina, they have to go through a psychological test. And so psychologically, they're tested to make sure that they're suited for the job. And then I think it's up to individuals, agencies then to make sure that they maintain watching over their people to see if anybody is developing any psychological or mental issues. Being law enforcement is tough and it gets to people. So you have to have programs in place. You have to have a warning system in place, and you have to have people who care in place. So when they do see someone that's having psychological mental issues, that we can address it. But before anyone can be a law enforcement officer in the state, they have to go through a battery of psychological tests.
Well, thank you again for your time this morning, Sheriff. We do appreciate it so very much. We are honored that you were with us today.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone being on.
For those watching today, thank you here on Zoom and on Facebook. If this is your first time watching a CWRAP, we call them CWRAP, or Conversation with Rotary Action People. We do these 3 times a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 o'clock. Starting in July, I do want to mention this because some Rotary clubs are not back to meeting in person yet. Well, we have an alternative for you. Starting Wednesday, July 1st, the CWRAP team here will present an all-club meeting. It'll be held every Wednesday starting July 1st, and that will be at noon. Stay tuned for more information, but we want to plant that seed now. If you are not meeting, we have an opportunity for Rotary for you. However, we're giving you 3 opportunities a week for Rotary with CWRAP. So thank you guys very much. To end today's call, I will recite the Rotary 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's a wrap for Conversations with Rotary Action People for Friday, June 12th. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. See you on Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.